afternoon. Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to be able to speak today. So, a little bit of background. I am a high school music teacher at heart. I did teach elementary for a while, and in one form or another, I've been a music educator for 36 years. I still love what I do. I currently am fortunate enough to be the assistant to band, orchestra, and choir at International Academy East, where I work with a lot of wonderful students and two outstanding directors, and I appreciate being able to do that. I also am the symphony band director for Oakland Community College, which I also very much enjoy. I'd like to share a bit of what I feel makes music so very special for others, and possibly in some new and different ways for you. As I thought about this, I thought I'm going to see some students in the audience, but adults as well. My hope was that this would possibly spark an area of interest for people of all ages. I remember being surrounded by music my entire life. And my parents loved music. My dad played guitar and sang music. And my strongest memories, let me go back here, I wasn't quite ready for that, go back to second grade. I remember my second grade music teacher, Mrs. Rappaport, in Urbana, Iowa. I moved around a lot when I was young, and I can't really remember anything about my elementary music teachers until a certain point in time, but I can go back to second grade and tell you almost anything we did in Mrs. Rappaport's class. It was very profound. Additionally, I finally remember my beginning band instructor in Monroe, Michigan, Mr. Gauman. And I had wonderful music teachers in my school district, in middle school and high school, and a little farm town just north of Toledo, Ohio, just north into the border in Michigan, Erie, Michigan. It was a wonderful experience. And among the activities there, I found the love of performance specifically as much of my choir experience as band. And a lot of that had to do specifically with the teacher, Mrs. Sylvia Lowe. My senior year, we performed more than 60 times. Just for clarification, that's 6-0. I know it doesn't seem like that's possible. Having performed and done dozens of performances with high school jazz and concert symphony marching bands, when I was at Athens High School, I still never could come quite close to that number. It was really amazing. But what I specifically want to tap into is a physical response to music that I felt, and three specific times that stand out. One was in middle school. We took a field trip. For those that did at a certain mark of success academically, got to go on a field trip. We went to the Fisher Theater in Detroit, Michigan to see Annie. And I had never seen a musical before, being from the country and not having all of the opportunities that people in the city or metropolitan areas have. It wasn't something that I had experienced. I was mesmerized. And a few different times during that musical, as something powerful was happening, I felt that feeling of the chills up your spine, and it definitely profoundly changed my life at that point. The second time was I was in high school, and I wasn't yet in Mrs. Lowe's choir that I mentioned, but there was this very sweet student named Colleen, just a friend, actually really a friend of a friend. She was a grade older than me, and she was so quiet and unassuming. I had no idea that inside her was this powerful singer. We went to an assembly, and Colleen got up in front of the choir, and she sang this performance of a song, Out Here on My Own, from the musical Fame from many decades back. And I'm glad there weren't cameras on people's phones back then, or in any form like this, or video, because I think my jaw was just hanging open the entire time. I was totally in awe. I don't know how someone could project and sing so beautifully and with such spirit. And I got to hear her do that for a couple years. And then the third one that I remember was also around that same age, going to Detroit to Orchestra Hall and seeing the DSO perform. And in particular, a piece of music at the time that I didn't know, but now one of my very favorites, by Dvorak, called the New World Symphony. Again, in each of those circumstances, though, it was the tingle up the spine that I was in tune with, if you will, and that made such an impact on me. How could music be so profoundly physical? I understood the academic part, I got the notes, I was becoming a performer more and more myself. I'd like to think that I had the opportunity, and maybe in some of those 60 plus performances in choir, people got the chills because of something that I did. So I have a fascination with that. I know I've read articles, studies that talk about things like dopamine being a part of the formula, and that how it affects a human being, and that it is something that can be attained while performing and or enjoying music. So music affects us at a biological level. Internally, it can affect blood pressure. Now this goes to, I have to make sure I stole a lot from Dr. Alan Harvey in this part of the discussion, so I want to make sure I mention him by name. It can affect blood pressure, heart rate, hormones. Externally, it can affect us with the goosebumps or chill up the spine. It can even drive us to tears. As far as we know, all groups of people around the world make music, appreciate, respond music. It's a universally human skill. Music also activates pathways within a complex structure called the limbic system. It's buried beneath the surface of the brain, and it's involved in learning and memory, and also our emotional responses. It activates a reward center deep in our brain. Music does, through the limbic system. That's also stimulated with other pleasurable activities. One of them that the author mentions that I personally connect with is eating chocolate. But music does more than make you feel good. It also activates regions of the cortex in the brain, and it's that are activated when you perform cooperative altruistic acts. These acts are where you put someone else's welfare in front of your own. And certainly we can appreciate that and all use a little bit more of that in our life as well. It doesn't surprise me as somebody who was a student and a teacher and have seen how music draws people together that those things could be associated with music as well. This is something so music is great for the brain, especially the developing brain. And my entire career, I've benefited from the studies of Dr. Frank Wilson. This was something that happened and was getting press around the time that I was finishing my bachelor's degree. And I think it's important to know about it. And there is a lot that music does to help develop the brain. And the focus of it is worthwhile for sure. But basically, it said that primarily focused on playing music and being in an orchestra, so it didn't mention choir initially. However, more recently, in summarizing all forms of music making in his research, this is a quote directly from something about 20 years after all that initial research. To put it simply, music making is good for one's health. And he adds, it's never too late to begin. And I certainly I benefit from that. By the way, at Oakland Community College, my symphony band, my youngest student this year was 17, and my oldest student, 76, because it's a mix of, it's actually a polymerization of community band and college band. I also, once upon a time, had a baritone player who was 83. She retired shortly after that season. But again, music can benefit everyone, and this is the part that I want to leave with you today. The work of Dr. Wilson confirmed that making music was great for the brain, especially at the academic level. His quote and additional work over the years confirms that it's good for one's overall health. And this is what I hope that you'll remember most today. More recent work dives into the benefit to physical, emotional, and mental well-being. And I think as time goes on, we'll hear more specifically what we're learning about what it does for your overall health, not just the academic work that has been tied to it for a very long time, and for good reason. I also wanted to just touch on music has an extreme healing element. And I'm not personally experienced. I've known many music therapists through the years, but I'm always amazed at the stories that I hear, videos that I see, anecdotal stuff from my friends who are music therapists, and of course, studies and articles that I read in peer-reviewed journals, etc., that talk about the healing effects through music, but especially when in the careful adaptation and application from a licensed music therapist. So I've listed some of what those benefits in general are, but I want to draw a little more attention to what, in this case, what music can do, but through a music therapist. Music therapy has helped those with dementia, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's disease, autism spectrum disorder, anxiety, COPD, cognitive disorders, and even tragic accidents, and the list just goes on endlessly from there. One example that I'd like to mention, some of us will remember in 2011, Congresswoman Gabby Giffords, there was an assassination attempt, and she almost lost her life. She had to have some surgery after. And I got to see just a little bit of a video. It wasn't originally part of my presentation, where she was doing some singing just post-surgery. But she credits music therapy and her French horn with helping her to gain her speech back. In that little clip of the video, as well as the study that I was reading, she could not speak still. They had worked with her, and they started spending more time trying to get her to sing the sentences and the string of words before her. It was at that moment that a big change happened, and her improvement in speech increased exponentially once she began to sing first through the words that she was trying to speak and then repeat them in a speaking fashion. Again, she specifically mentioned returning to the French horn that she had played when she was younger as being an important part of that recovery process as well. I have a quote that I'd like to read. Actually, let me back up a step. So there's so many benefits surrounding the enjoyment of music. I hope that you'll consider either continuing in your music exploration if you already are, and you're or if you're currently active in such a pursuit, and or expanding your music capabilities. I cannot provide you with a precise statistics for the following line of thought. However, my personal summary of all that I've read, etc., and empirical data, but I'm doing it in a summarized way. The aforementioned benefits and many others await those who take an accelerated interest in music, and this my line of thought is, first, you can do this by listening and enjoying music. It's pretty obvious, but perhaps expanding to additional genres of music that you've not considered before. There's a second level. Again, I don't have the numbers to say how much more, but by attending live musical events, you can expand upon that first one and receive even more from the experience in a live setting. I know that those aforementioned times when I saw Annie, my friend Colleen sing, when I saw the DSO play Dvorak's New World Symphony, I don't think I would have had that same spine-tingling experience if it had been even on appropriate quality equipment. It's just not the same when it's not live. And I certainly encourage live performances in that vein. And lastly, begin, continue, and or increase the amount of music making in your life. There's so many videos on different things that one can do, even as an adult. Most of the students that pass through here today working in various shifts or that are still here, I'm fortunate enough to work with, I would say there was probably 15 total that I saw, that we'll be doing concerts together with next Tuesday and Wednesday at Troy High School on their stage. That's wonderful. I appreciate that. But there's always other avenues that you can explore, and each time that you're doing it, you're tapping into something totally intrinsic and fundamental that we're only beginning to understand in additional studies that are taking place. There is proof that Dr. Alan Harvey, stating in his research that many of the neurologists now believe, neuroscientists, that music and spoken language actually have a predecessor of a language that was some type of a mix. We know that 65,000 plus years ago, man started moving around the globe, and we know that there are instruments made of bone and wood, flutes, drums, that have existed for more than 40,000 years. It doesn't seem like it would have been an important part of their life survival skills to have music. Why is it found so frequently amongst other items that were a part of their daily lives and trying to make sure that their survival skills were met, their needs were met? So the quote, experiencing and especially making music is like a workout for the soul, leaving you invigorated and inspired. And my wish to you, may music enrich your life and soul as it has done with mine and so many others.